Folks, good to see you all here today. Just enjoying some tunes written by our Director of Operations, Aaron. Awesome. As we switch over to the actual event today, which is going to be, of course, a cupping of Guatemalan coffees with Bob Bank and our friend Pablo Gonzalez from Finca El Valle in Guatemala. So as right now, they're in the waiting room. I'm going to pull them up in just a second, but I wanted to just make sure everybody is prepared. We're going to be cupping several coffees from Guatemala today. Among those, some from Pablo's family, and we just want you to be able to watch Bob cup them and talk about them. We've already started them off and we've broken the crust, and so it's at this time that I'm actually going to bring in my two friends here, Bob and Pablo, so you can say hello to them. Oh, and here they are. Here's Pablo at least. Hey, Pablo, can you hear me?
Sí, muy bien.
You. Hey, yeah. Bob. And Bob, are you there too?
Sí, estoy aquí.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't see you, but I saw Pablo for a brief second.
Yeah. So I'm going to just switch over so you can talk a little bit, Bob, about what we have on the cupping table here.
Okay. Great. So welcome everybody to this week's live cupping broadcast. As Josh mentioned, we're going to be tasting some Guatemalan coffees. I will be doing some translating between Pablo and myself and you guys. Once again, I'm assuming if some questions are popping up on the screen, Josh is going to make some noise. But as Josh mentioned, I have the coffee set up here. Pablo obviously is not cupping these coffees, but we'll move through it real fast and we'll just kind of chat and I'll explain what we have and we'll just enjoy it. So I'm at about, let's see, 10 minutes right now. So the coffees are cooling off. I'm going to stand up and just explain what the 5 coffees that we have are. If there's any problems with the audio, Josh, make some noise.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. So the first coffee I'm going to taste is our certified fair trade and organic. We call it El Volcan. It's currently available at our web store. It's from a co-op called Asproguate. We've been working with them. This year will actually only be the 2nd year that we bought coffee from them. But we really happy with it last year. And from what I can tell, this year is not going to be much different. Very good, high quality coffee. It's from the Acapanango area, which is actually not too far from Antigua, where the Gonzalez family farm is. We also have what I'll call pre-shipment sample with the Valle, and we'll talk with Pablo about where they're at in their harvest cycle. And then I have 3 coffees from a producer up in the Huehuetenango area up in northern Guatemala, real close to the border with Mexico. One of which is the Esperanza, which is our current Guatemalan offer that's on our website. The name of the producer is Octavio Herrera. We're hoping to bring that coffee in again this year. And then the 2 other coffees that I have here are also coffees from Octavio Herrera. I believe. So we're just going to kind of get an idea of what types of qualities are being produced and what else is there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to tasting these. They're all real good. Not really expecting any negative surprises on the table. But Guatemala is an exceptional coffee producing country. And I'll probably just maybe open up a little convo here with Pablo and talk a little bit about what specifically is going on in Guatemala right now. Hola, Pablo.
Hola, hola Bob. Hola Joshua, ahora ya te veo. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, Pablo.
Sí, ¿cómo estás, Bob?
Bien, bien.
Hola.
Dígame algo acerca de la cosecha en Antigua en general o específicamente con la finca del Valle.
Sí.
Está abierto.
Sí, bueno, la finca del Valle estuvo por algunos años por la roya, porque ya no teníamos la cosecha, entonces estos años se ha recuperado. Hemos trabajado un poquito más en la cuestión de atacar todas las plagas y la fertilización, muy importante, pero algo importante también es el clima. El clima está cambiando y está siendo un poco más generoso con las tierras volcánicas, porque al estar cerca del volcán, nosotros tendemos a querer más agua o más lluvia. Pero si hay demasiada lluvia, también hay una saturación de agua que afecta en determinado momento al café en la maduración o en el llenado del grano. Entonces, estos últimos años,
Okay. Sí, voy a traducir y entonces es un poco corto, pero está bien. Paulo was talking about how over the past few years, they've really been affected by leaf rust or la roya. And I think most of our customers know that there was a time where we did not have El Valle a couple of years ago due to the effects of leaf rust. However, the farm is recovering right now. Last year, there was a small harvest, which we brought in and sold over the holiday season this past year. And this year has improved over last year once again. So they're feeling pretty good about what's going on and what they're seeing in terms of recovery on the farm. A lot of it has to do with soil conditions, and the weather has been more generous to the farm and the family this past year, just with moisture levels being appropriate towards proper maturation of coffee. Okay.
Ok, hay un detalle muy importante, hablar del café de este sector de la Antigua, que el volcán ha estado muy activo los últimos 3 años. Después de el volcán hizo un desastre en la parte de atrás del sector de Zacatepeques, que encontrando la costa, que es la costa y Antigua, toda esta viento ha venido a alimentar de minerales importantes volcánicos a la tierra del valle. Y junto con el buen clima, que es sol moderado y agua de lluvia moderada, hace que este año tengamos una cosecha con unos granos más llenos de jugo, con una maduración más lenta, no acelerada por el sol o por la deshidratación de la tierra. Entonces creo que es un buen tiempo para esta cosecha, es una de las mejores en cuestiones de clima y en cuestiones de hidratación de los granos, de agua para los granos.
Yeah. Okay, so Pablo was talking, there was a large volcanic event that occurred just outside of Antigua. I think it was 2 years ago or maybe even 3 years ago now. And it's very heavily active volcanic area. If you've ever been to Antigua, it's really just nestled between 2 large volcanoes, Volcán de Agua y Volcán de Fuego.
Being someone who lives near Mount Rainier, I hope that we never have to say that we've had a volcanic event here. So.
Yeah. Esperamos que no tenemos un evento como ustedes con el volcán de Mount Rainier aquí en Olympia, Pablo.
Sí, sí, afortunadamente el volcán que solo nos ayuda a nosotros, solo nos ayuda por el viento, no nos afecta. El que nos afectaría sería el volcán de agua, pero el de fuego solo nos alimenta, es bueno.
Sí, sí, sí. So volcán de agua is pretty much dormant. That's the one that if you ever see pictures of the skyline from Antigua, you see Fuego, Volcán de Fuego, is helps them a lot by returning nutrient to the soil. And this is one of the things that makes Figue el Valle and basically coffees from Antigua in general very unique in their flavor profile. So yeah, great. So coffee from El Valle is 100% Bourbon. If you've tasted the La Esperanza from Octavio Herrera this past year, that's 100% Catura. I know we talk about the different coffee varieties that people are growing on their farm. In addition to the regular Bourbon lot, I know that El Valle also has produced a very small. You want to come say hi? Augusto quiere decir algo.
¿Cómo está de grande? ¿Cómo estás? Hola.
Bunch of hams.
Yeah.
Okay. There was also a small lot of a yellow Bourbon produced by El Valle this year. So, Pablo, además del lote grande del Valle este año, hay un lote chiquito de amarillo, ¿verdad?
Sí, este año José preparó un lote especial para Baddorf. Él clasificó a las personas para cortar primero. El valle está mezclado el rojo y el amarillo. Entonces, él un día lo cortó todo en amarillo, de rojo Borbón y de arábiga o arábigo y Borbón. Y tenemos el Borbón amarillo, que Baddorf ya tuvo la experiencia de tener este café específicamente. El café lo caté hace 2 semanas y sí, los dos son similares, pero me gusta mucho porque el Borbón amarillo tiene una especialidad, tiene cosas más florales, es algo más delicado. Y el rojo me gusta mucho porque también es como la plataforma de la taza del valle. Es como la mesa. Para mí es como, no sé cómo explicarlo, pero es como una plataforma, el Borbón y el arábigo.
So basically they were able to separate the yellow Bourbon lot. So when there's a day or 2 days of harvest, they would only pick yellow fruit. And that's how they were able to produce this small lot of yellow Bourbon. Flavor profile in the yellow Bourbon, Pablo describes as being more delicate, more floral, different than the red fruit from the same variety, which he would consider the kind of the basis or the layer, the foundation of that flavor profile that we've become accustomed to with El Valle. So we are going to be getting El Valle back this year. Last year was a small chop as we're trying to ramp back up into production. Just to explain a little bit about, the relationship that we've had with El Valle. We've been buying coffee from the farm there for, I believe it's 16. ¿Cuántos años de relación tienen nosotros, Pablo? Como 16 años.
Sí, más o menos 16 años de relación directa, de amistad.
Yeah, so it's been a long-term investment and relationship. So obviously seeing the effects of leaf rust affect the farm and the family and the culture in Guatemala in general, I would say. It's good to have see recovery and have the opportunity once again to bring the coffee back for this year. So ¿En qué parte de la cosecha está ahorita, Pablo? Ya la cosecha está terminado y el café de pergamino está en la bodega en casa, ¿verdad? ¿Y
Exacto,
qué
sí,
es el horario
el horario
que
que tenemos.
seguimos?
Sí, es importante. Antes de contestar tu pregunta, Bob, cuando hablamos de la relación de hace 16 años, me gustó mucho algo que dice David Giswood, y comparto mucho esta parte. Cuando nosotros empezamos a trabajar en café, era un negocio y encontramos una amistad. Ahora somos amigos queriendo hacer negocios y eso es algo que me gusta mucho. Y contestando tu pregunta
Voy a traducir un momento. So, Pablo just wanted to add a little bit to the little relationship talk there. And, you know, when we first started out, it was a business that kind of evolved into a friendship between us. This is a relationship that was fostered by Sustainable Harvest Importers and David Griswold. They're based out of Portland, Oregon. And, you know, I talk a lot about, you know, how we negotiate with our producers or how we form these relationships. You know, we always use an importer. We always have a level of transparency between all the parties involved. And I think when we move forward right now, Pablo is going to talk a little bit about the dry milling experience and exportation experience. But back to the original statement, you know, it started as a business, it became a friendship, and now we're obviously have this great amistad or friendship, and we move forward with the business side of things. So it's a balance, and we're all very appreciative. Sigue, Pablo.
Y continuando, el proceso que estamos, si terminamos algo bien interesante, el COVID-19 entró para Guatemala el 13 de marzo y nosotros estuvimos terminando la cosecha el 11. Fue algo muy interesante porque a partir de eso hubieron muchos cambios de horarios y de personal para nosotros por las imposiciones del presidente y la medida de prevención. Ahorita en este momento estamos trabajando con poco personal y estamos específicamente buscando catar para ver si no hay defectos, buscar yo le digo que es como la vieja escuela de la catación, es buscar si hay defectos. Si encontramos un defecto, nosotros separamos el café. Hasta el momento todo está muy bien y estamos viendo la humedad. Queremos llevarlo 11% para poder ya mandar muestras a ustedes la próxima semana.
Okay, so they finished their harvest on March 11th, and the government shutdown in Guatemala resulting from the COVID-19 virus occurred on March 13th. So they were lucky in that they were able to finish harvest on the farm, get all the coffee into their wet mill, process it, because 2 or 3 days after that happened, the transportation issues that are associated with the COVID-19 basically took effect from the government in Guatemala. So they were lucky that the coffee was basically done and in their warehouse. However, the coffee just rests there, and it needs to be transported to Guatemala City where it'll undergo dry milling. And that's also where a lot of the quality control in the lab is done. I know Pablo does have a little tiny roasting machine in their house and has been cupping coffee from the various daily lots of coffee that come through. However, the logistics of getting coffee to Guatemala City, to the Dinámica mill in Guatemala, has been a challenge. But things have eased up a little bit in recent days as well. So, okay, entonces, Pablo, ¿qué vamos a hacer con el café?
Bueno, es bien, buena pregunta, bien interesante. Vamos a mandar la muestra. Este café, vamos a platicar si vamos a mandar estos pequeños lotes de amarillo y de rojo, o si quieren solo el amarillo, y el valle, que es la mezcla de todos. Lo interesante de este año es que este año pudimos pudimos cortar un poco de semilla de borbón anaranjado. Yo este borbón lo he estado buscando y trabajando desde hace más de 9 años, y hasta este año vamos a hacer ya una siembra un poco más grande de borbón anaranjado. Aproximadamente en 3 años ya vas a tener una muestra de este café. Sí. Entonces ese es hablar un poco del futuro, y el futuro cercano es mandarte el café, ¿verdad? Para que ustedes ya tengan el café reposado desde finales de diciembre y principios de enero. Es lo que ha estado descansando. El café está muy bueno.
So the Parchment Coffee's resting in our warehouse right now. The other thing that's really exciting and going on the farm is they also have an orange colored Bourbon variety that they were able to get enough of a harvest from this year and separate, that they're gonna put as seed stock in their nursery. So hopefully 2 or 3 years from now, we could potentially see some orange Bourbon. And just, the history with the variety and color of coffee on the farm is Cristina Gonzalez, Pablo's mom, was really adamant about wanting to maintain a mix of color on the farm. And I remember at one point we spoke, and I'm like, so why the different colors, or why not separate them so they're easy to maintain separation as the stuff's harvested and goes through the mill? And she's like, well, I really just like looking at all the different colors mixed together. It's like a flower garden out in the fields when these coffees are ripening, and you have the yellows and the orange and the red. So these are, really, when we talk, there's Bourbon, and there's Bourbon Antigua, or heirloom ancient Bourbons, which was one of the reasons why the farm was hit so hard by leaf rust, because of the age and specific variety of these trees. Pablo,
real quick,
estaba explicando. Go ahead, Josh.
The question did come through, and maybe I missed it. Are we going to be seeing any of the yellow Bourbon this year from El Valle?
This is a discussion. Yeah, there is an opportunity. It is possible.
Okay, so you heard it here. Possibility.
All right, I just got to Pablo, hay una persona que está preguntando si vamos a comprar el café amarillo este año. ¿Qué es la respuesta?
La respuesta es tuyo. El amarillo es tuyo.
Ok, vamos a ver cómo dice.
Sí, claro, vamos a ver todo. Sí.
Okay. I know we're already kind of pushing on time here, and I haven't even tasted these coffees, but I think it might be a little bit more exciting for people to hear us just kind of talk about our relationship and what we do, and as opposed to just watching me up there slurping coffee. So I like to, obviously people who know me know I like to tell stories. So I'm going to tell a little story, a couple things actually. One, you probably know that Cristina, Pablo's mom, passed away this past year. Which was a sad event. But as always in life and in coffee, the next generation will take over. Hence, Pablo and his brothers Jose and Luis are basically responsible for running the farm now. And I remember it was in 2000 and when was Violet born? 2007. When we were at an event in Antigua, Guatemala, and I was spending time with Pablo and the family. I had my wife Emma with us, and at the time she was pregnant with our first child, and I just coincidentally happen to have a pineapple here in the kitchen. And we were driving down the road, and Pablo found out that Emma was pregnant and craving fruit. So he immediately pulled the car over at this roadside fruit stand and literally filled up the trunk with pineapples and mangoes and
fruit I've never seen before.
Probably at least a week, if not 2 weeks worth of fruit for a normal person. And we then proceeded to take this back to our hotel. And for the next, 2 or 3 days, Emma got to sit in the hotel room and consume whole pineapples at a time. And the joke was that we were thinking that when Violet was born, she was actually going to come out as a pineapple, not as a baby.
Lo impresionante de la historia de las piñas, perdón, Bob, lo interesante era que para mí comer un poco de piña, mi lengua va a ser afectada. Ella podía comer todas las piñas de Antigua y no pasaba nada. Es impresionante. Eso fue una de las cosas más impresionantes para mí de las piñas, que la bebé seguramente no le importó. Su mamá quería pedirle más piñas. Sí, muy linda historia.
Yeah. Y ahorita Violeta no le gustan las piñas.
Ironic in Spanish.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. There's my one of many, but the funny, hopefully, story about Guatemala and coffee and relation and family with the Gonzalez family and our family here at Batdorf. So we'll I'm gonna walk over and I'm gonna taste some coffees. Josh, do you want to just keep the feed rolling, or how you want to do this?
Yeah, so I have the coffees here. I started a little bit ago because they're getting cooler. But yeah, you roll with this. We have unlimited time now on Zoom, so we can go ahead and taste through some of these and talk about them.
Okay. Pablo, voy a catar los cafés y hablar un poco acerca de las muestras. Pero si quiere quedarte aquí con nosotros, está bien.
Sí, claro.
Okay.
Voy a quedarme para ver los resultados.
Ok.
Sí, está bien.
Bueno.
Está bien. Suerte, Bob. Suerte, Joshua.
Yeah. What are you starting with, Bob?
First coffees, the certified fair trade and organic, the Guape.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As I expected, it's clean, sweet, caramely. Like I said, this was a pre-shipment sample. The coffee has already been approved and on the water right now. So we may have a very short disruption in when that coffee is available here at our stores. But hopefully that ship is moving and we'll get that new crop in here in not too long. So that's kind of the status with that coffee. People that have been enjoying that coffee this year. The co-op Guape has, I believe, about 1,900 small producers that are all part of it. They basically divide up into 3 different producing areas, one of which is Acatanango, which is the one that we're buying. There's also one that comes from the Atitlan area. And honestly, the third group is slipping my mind right now. But give me a minute and I'll remember. So the second sample I have here is the El Valle. And this sample was, or is, what I'll call type sample. It was brought back with Dave Griswold from Sustainable Harvest. Actually brought this coffee back from a visit when he was down there this past January, I believe it was. So it's from the earlier part of the harvest. We have not seen our pre-shipment sample yet. That's kind of what Pablo was talking about, the logistics of getting this coffee prepped and ready for shipment have been delayed due to COVID effects. But the coffee tastes wonderful. It's incredibly sweet. A lot of butterscotch, caramel, nice balanced heavy body, you know, as we've come to love from El Valle. The next sample I have here is the Esperanza Catura, which is the 100% Catura variety from Otto Herrera. We've had this coffee for a couple years. It's from the Huehuetenango area, which is, like I said, a lot further north. One of the unique things about Guatemala as a country is there's several producing areas that all have very unique flavor profiles. Huehue is known for having a much fruitier cup profile. I do not believe that this coffee is super fruity. And I think one of the things that really has attracted us to Octavio's coffees is they are very refined, processed very well, and have very unique cup profiles that perhaps are different than the general cup profile from the area in which the farm is. Very, very good coffee. Love that coffee. The next sample is the Buena Esperanza, which I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I know that I can only assume it's from the farm, but it's just other varieties that are being grown, or maybe a blend of varieties that are different than the separated Catura lot. And just to explain a little bit about Catura, Catura is in the Bourbon family of coffee. It's essentially like a dwarf Bourbon, so it grows a lot shorter. It stays smaller than some of the pure or old Bourbon stock, and as a result, it has a slightly different cup profile. But from a harvest standpoint, it can be heavier yielding and easier to harvest because of its short, kind of wide stature. This sample, I would say, is excuse me, a little bit lighter bodied, perhaps, than the Catura. Has a little bit more of a citrusy quality to it, a little lemony. I pick up a nice sort of lemon zest aspect to it. Once again, solid, nice coffee. One of the things that I'm always looking at is, it's how the coffee tastes, but I have the opportunity to sample roast these. We do the dry aromatic assessment. And I get to just look at both the prep of the green coffee and then how the roasted coffee turns out as well. So it's all those impressions that we kind of wrap up into our final assessment of coffee. And that being said, I can just look at these coffees and know that there was a lot of care taken with the preparation of them. And then finally, Las Plantas. this coffee's different. This coffee has a much different flavor profile from the others. A whole lot of licorice, like black licorice, molasses, fennel, really a velvety mouthfeel. You know, a lot of the others kind of have the caramel chocolate sweet cocoa thing. This has that kind of floral, herbal, anise, but sweet and balanced at the same time. I really noticed it when I ground the coffee and was doing a dry sniff. It was incredibly aromatic. Yeah, so I'll say that, you know, all those coffees are amazing coffees. Once again, this isn't necessarily me there looking to, you know, find defects. Obviously, a couple of these coffees are for approval. Others are for offer. They're basically coffees on offer, and do we want to buy them? As I'm sure you can suspect, it's hard. Yeah, I'd love to have 5-6 different Guatemalans to offer you, but we need to limit what our offers are. So we'll see what we end up with. Plus, there's always that, you know, yellow Bourbon lot floating out there that I've now been requested by certain folks, perhaps, to bring in this year and have as part of our lineup. So, wonderful coffees. These new crop Guats will probably be hitting our shelves, you know, June-ish, a month from now. Pushing into July, probably with El Valle, that tends to be a little bit later ship date. That coffee tends to really benefit from a little extra rest or reposa at origin. It just gets sweeter and sweeter. I think in the past, we've always noticed that coffee really kind of hits its stride and tastes the best that it's tasted in, like, you know, September and October, almost a little later in the crop cycle. So, yeah, that's what I got. Josh, you want to?
So yeah, I mean the table is great. I mean I'll just be frank, since we have Pablo here, that when I came to Batdorf, El Valle became my favorite coffee that we have every year. And so my heart broke a little when it went away, but it was so very, very happy when it came back. So I'm glad that we have our relationship, because I selfishly love the coffee. So, but yeah, that Las Plantas, that was clearly, yeah, just a very different experience, and that's what's enjoyable about, even when we get into origin, and we go, you know, from year to year, even on the same farm, we can just have such a different experience with a coffee. So you're right, it would be great if we could have, you know, a dozen copies from an origin, but we have to, you know, we have to follow our relationships and follow the coffee that we love. So that's great. It was enjoyable. Thank you.
We can mix it up. We mix it up. It's okay. Depends how many coffee reports customer service is going to make me write.
Yeah, and I'm neutral on the yellow Bourbon, by the way. So.
All right. Well, here we are. I believe we're 40 minutes into our 20-minute tasting. So I want to thank you, Josh, for putting this all together. This is wonderful. Gracias a Pablo para unir con nosotros, y fue un placer. Y hay algo que quiere decir a la gente que todavía está con nosotros.
Sí, pues sí, la verdad, muchos saludos. Estamos mandando este café para ustedes y esperemos que les guste el trabajo de mi familia, de las tierras de mi país y todo. Quiero mandarles muchísimos saludos a las familias, a todos, y gracias por seguir trabajando en café. Y ¡ay, qué!
Violeta.
There's the pineapple.
Pineapple.
No, she's been at school. She's been doing homeschool for the past hour and a half. She's taking a break.
Sí, yo les mando muchísimos saludos y muchísimas gracias. Joshua, gracias por tu tiempo y muy pronto te tenemos aquí también en Guatemala.
Okay. Yeah. So Pablo basically just wanted to thank everybody for enjoying their coffee so much. And hopefully we can, cross paths here in Guatemala again shortly. So, so this year, I obviously, with everything that's going on, have not been able to make my usual journey to Guatemala. In fact, it was that week. It was the week of March 13th or March 17th was when I was scheduled to be in Guatemala. And about 2 or 3 weeks before that trip, I had canceled. And I guess at this point, I'm glad I did. Otherwise, Pablo would probably be seeing a lot more of me than he would anticipate. So, but yeah, so we'll keep getting through this. Great kind of segue here. So, I mentioned how we just the way the timing was in Guatemala with the harvest and such, that it they kind of got lucky and that the coffee was harvested and was in the warehouse, and now things are opening back up. And transportation is still a challenge, but less challenging than it was 3 weeks ago. On next week's broadcast, we're going to have Daniela Rodriguez from the Buena Vista or Fincas Los Rodriguez in Bolivia. She's going to join us. And they in Bolivia are really worried right now. The harvest is getting ready to start down there here in like a month or so. So they are, concerned about labor, transportation, getting people in and out of the coffee farms to get coffee off the trees. So it'll be real kind of interesting to have a conversation with her about the current state of affairs in Bolivia in relation to COVID-19. This is and coincidentally, we'll be launching the Buena Vista coffee that was from this past harvest. They have a couple months here. The peak of their harvest is, August. So we've shipped that coffee. It's landed, it's cleared. It's now in our warehouse. We've been kind of waiting a little while to launch it just to use up some of the coffees we have. But that coffee launches on May 11th. So next Wednesday, May 6th, we will have Daniela from Buena Vista with us. And I'll probably do what I call our brew all ways cupping. I'll just do 4 over. Maybe I can get Ben to do, an AeroPress or some other brew method, Josh. And this is something that I would normally do with employees in the lab before we launch coffee, just so we have the information about how coffees taste and varying brew methods. So looking forward to launching that coffee and looking forward to having Daniela join us from Bolivia. So, once again, gracias a Pablo.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias a toda la gente.
Gracias.
Just stay safe, be smart, and enjoy the time, folks.
Yeah. Pablo, thank you so much for joining us today. Bob, thank you as always for sharing your stories. And I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys here, and I'm gonna close up on the main screen here. Pablo, I look forward to seeing you eventually in Guatemala, and Bob, I look forward to seeing you eventually in Olympia, hopefully. So, yeah.
Gracias.
Take care. And I'll
Me too,
see you
Josh.
here next week on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Sí. Nos vemos pronto entonces cuando termine esta locura del coronavirus. Muchas gracias.
Yeah,
Feliz.
igual. Adiós, Pablo. Gracias a todos. Y saludos a la familia. Rigo,
igualmente,
Luis,
muchos
y José.
abrazos a todos.
Okay.
Gracias,
gracias.
Ciao. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us today. Take care of that. So, I wanted to remind you that we do, of course, value these relationships, and this is just a way for us to try and bring our customers, our friends, our fans closer to the folks that we obviously have. In this case, I was with Pablo, long relationships with families. So please come back here next Wednesday. We're going to have another cupping, and it sounds like maybe we're going to do, rather than a cupping, a one coffee multiple brew methods. So we'll probably grab Ben onto the feed, and maybe Brendan as well, to all be here as we talk with our friends from Bolivia, talk about some of the challenges they're having right now, and then also talk about the coffee that we're able to get from them. So I'm going to leave you with some more lovely music from Aaron, and I hope you have a great day. Enjoy your coffee, and be good to each other.